actually started filming this video and then stopped because there were sounds happening in my apartment building. But as I listened, I realized that the sounds were actually my neighbors watching videos of the riots that are happening. And I felt it really appropriate to actually just take this time to address what's going on in our nation and to just say that, first of all, I stand with the protesters, and to people that don't or maybe don't understand, that's the whole point. We don't understand. We will never be able to understand what Black Americans go through, what Black people go through all over the world, because it's not us, that's not our story, and it's not our right to decide how someone should react to something that we will never have to go through. So that's really all there is to it. It felt wrong to not address it in this video, and it feels wrong and weird to segue away from it because it's catastrophic what's going on, and it's huge, and it's bigger than what I can understand, and what so many other people can understand. So that's just kind of what I implore people to do, is to not judge the way that other people are reacting to a situation that you will never have to go through. Again, it feels wrong to segue away from it, but today's video is about how my eating disorder started. So this is the story of how my eating disorder started, because nobody wakes up one day and is just thinking, you know what, I'd like to have an eating disorder. That's just not how it goes. That would be insane. However, I'm sure that there are people that have thought like that. I know that I've heard of celebrities saying things along the lines of, I never had the self-control for eating disorder and stuff like that. Not a great thing to say, regardless. There are 30 million Americans suffering from an eating disorder right now. That's just America. And it is something that's only rising in numbers because as society's pressure grows, the mental capacity of young people and old people to keep up with those growing pressures and those growing standards, it becomes too much to bear. So the way that mine started was basically slow and steady. It wasn't one day I woke up and I was like, I'm not going to eat this. No, it was one day I woke up after being told something that was hurtful to my own body image and my own insecurities. I woke up and decided I wanted to have a lifestyle change, because isn't that what all diets are? Just lifestyle changes, right? So I picked one thing, just one thing, and I was like, I'm just going to cut this out. That's all. Just like a small thing. And then from there, everything snowballed, because I had an endless supply of resources on the internet. I had Pinterest telling me all the diet tips. I had Instagram full of influencers telling me all the ways that I could change my body and showing me these bodies that I scientifically, physically could never get. But regardless, I was still absorbing them every single day. So that happened slowly until suddenly I was cutting out entire food groups and I was choosing times in the day to not eat. And actually, before I go any further with this, I do want to say I'm not going to be giving any of my tactics, I guess, on here, because I know what I used to do when I had an eating disorder, and that was look up other people's stories hoping to find tips and tricks. And that's not what this is. I have no tips, no tricks. I'm going to be very vague about a lot of things because I was there and I'm not giving anybody more fuel for their fire. But basically, from the lifestyle change, it was small things that I decided to cut out. Slowly, everything regarding food became very black and white for me. It was, this is good, this is bad. I can eat this, I will never eat this, because if I eat this, I'm going against this new moral, I guess, pattern that I'm creating in my brain. And I was just like inundated in all of these facts and all of these things that were just not true. They weren't founded in science. They were founded in a culture, a diet culture and a diet industry that has amassed $70 billion off of me feeling bad about myself. You can always find, I think it was when I was in treatment, somebody said you'll always find proof for the things you choose to believe. And if you choose to believe that this food group is bad, you can find a whole lot of facts about why it's bad and why you should cut it out. You could find it about broccoli, probably. So really and truly, like, you're always going to be able to find a reason to not want to do something or to want to do something. And with an eating disorder, it's full of twisted reasoning and things like that. So my safe food list shrank shorter. and my fear food list, which is the list of foods that you basically deem as like untouchable, grew longer and longer. And it wasn't overnight, it was literally a slow process of learning new things about new random foods and why it was bad for me and why I shouldn't do it just because someone else's experience with it had been negative. All of my waking thoughts were about food, and I think that's something that makes me really sad because I've always loved the way that my brain thinks, and my brain really turned against me in this time, and that made me really sad because there are so many other amazing things to think about in this life other than what you're gonna let yourself eat. Again, by society standards, I was killing it. I was fitting into clothes that I shouldn't have been able to fit into, and everybody was asking, what's your secret, what's this or that, and I never wanted to give them a straight answer. How do you tell somebody, oh well, I just stopped eating? You can't tell that to somebody. So I was just like, oh, I guess it's just hormones or something, which is just insane. I got very good at lying though. And slowly, after I started out restricting for so long, my brain became so obsessed with food and so obsessed with trying to re-feed myself that I snapped into, and this isn't uncommon, but I snapped into binging. Binging is where you uncontrollably eat food for a certain amount of time and you reach like a certain number of like calories and things like that, and it's out of control. I was unable to stop myself. Everything in those moments was just, what is the next bite going into my mouth? I didn't taste anything. I didn't care what it was. I just needed it to be in my mouth and needed to be eating it, which was a really scary time, especially for somebody that had just come out of a really restrictive mindset. To then snap like that is really anxiety provoking. And so with that, where my restrictive brain had lost for a moment, it came back and it translated into then purging. Purging can be done in multiple ways. But for me, it was primarily throwing up, and I would binge all this food and then I would throw up because I was like, okay, I need to have a clean slate. I can't be like this. It can't happen. And so from there, then what I was like, okay, well, that's just my fail safe. That's just what I do when I lose control for a second. But from there, it actually just became what I did after any meal. It was no longer just my fail safe. It was my go-to. And even after I was doing all of that, I was looking at videos of people with eating disorders and I was Googling about them, and I was like, do I have an eating disorder? I don't know. I found the NADA website, which is the National Eating Disorder Association, and I took their screening test, and it was like, you likely have an eating disorder. We can't diagnose you, but like, you need to get help. And I was like, no, still I don't have a problem. That's the thing though, because it came in so slowly, my brain had so much time to adapt to this new reality I had created that nothing seemed wrong. Nothing seemed like it needed help. And it took me months to finally ask for help. And when I did, it was a moment of weakness, as I called it at that moment, but now I realize that was literally the strongest moment of my life. But regardless, it's insane to me that I was in this place. I was throwing up so many times. That's gross, but still, it's true. I was eating nothing. I was then out of control, eating so much I still didn't think I had a problem. And I wish that I had somebody just come alongside me in the very beginning and just honestly smack me across the face and be like, you're going down a really slippery path right now. But I didn't know it at the time. And so that's why I want to make a video like this, because maybe you see those warning signs in a friend of yours. Maybe you see them in yourself. And you have to realize that getting help early or getting help at all is seriously the best decision you could ever make. I would not trade any moment of the terrifying moments of anxiety when I was asking for help or when I was first getting it. I wouldn't trade a moment of it for where I am now. I'm here now. So obviously something did change, and that was really small moments, because in the same way that you don't just fall into an eating disorder overnight, you don't fall into recovery overnight. Everything is a process, and with any process, endless amounts of grace are required for you, to yourself, to others, to the people that are helping you, everything. Give yourself grace for the processes that you're in. If you're in the process of just starting out and having an eating disorder, give yourself grace. You're a human being. Eating disorders serve as a way to cope with things in life that you can't quite understand. They serve as a way to control things that you never could control. Give yourself grace in those moments. You're not weak for falling into this. You're a person. And if you're in the beginning stages of recovery, give yourself grace, because you have spent a long time being trained by society about one way you should look or one way you should be, and you're unlearning everything that you learned that was harming you, and that takes time. So give yourself time, and I hope this was helpful in some way. I hope that it allows you to have a better idea of kind of how you sort of start. Again, this is just my story. I don't know everybody else's stories. So I hope that you're brave enough to share your story if you want to in the comments, or if you just want to reach out to me. My DMs are always open, and that's all there really is to it.